Welcome back to the Justin Wenzel Podcast. On this show, we just like to get some really cool people on here to tell their stories, how they came from nothing and became something. And today we have Tristin. What's up, bro?
Hey, man. Doing great. How are you?
Good, good. So we met a little while back. I started going to the gym that you train out of. And, it's a fantastic gym. A lot of great people, great culture. It's called Live Alpha. How did you find out about that place?
So Live Alpha, I actually found out through one of my previous bodybuilding coaches. And he was at the gym I was currently at, which was Self-Made Costa Mesa. He ended up moving over there, so I followed him over there and trained over there for about last summer, just as a client. And recently, as of like October of last year, I joined there as a trainer myself and continued my journey as a bodybuilder and started training my own clients there. And it's an amazing gym. It's been fantastic.
It really is. The equipment there is fantastic. Just the vibe, the lighting, all of it's really cool. And it's a good gym to film in and obviously to train people in. Were you? How long have you been a trainer?
As of now, only like 5-6 months.
Oh wow!
Yeah, it's been a really quick progression, but it's been good.
But you're a very successful trainer.
Yeah, I do pretty well. Yeah.
That's for 5 to 6 months. Like a lot of times, people don't realize now your success is not normal for a personal trainer, but I'm guessing that there's a part of your story that is why you are so resilient, such a hustler, why you get down the way you do. So let's kind of break into that. Tell me about Tiny Tristin.
Yeah, correct. So in 2019, I had a huge back surgery. So I had a 45-degree curve in my spine.
Scoliosis?
Yeah, scoliosis. I had a very big back surgery, which ended up landing me with 20 screws in my back and 2 rods to correct that curve. So I'm fused from T3 to T12. I have no flexion in my back, so I can't bend, I can't twist left or right. And I was like super, super atrophied. I went to physical therapy and whatnot and tore a muscle in my spine, or near my spine, I should say. And they kicked me out of physical therapy. Insurance wouldn't pay for it anymore. So I found the gym. I found like peptide therapies, started going more into like that sort of thing. And God, sorry, I'm so nervous right now.
Don't be, you're good.
So I ended up diving more into that kind of thing and working out myself. I started working out at a gym in Newport called Curl Fitness. And I ended up meeting another bodybuilder there and worked out with him through his whole prep. And he kind of taught me some things. So I dived into that and I ended up really transforming not only my body, but my mind. And, it's been one of the most amazing experiences of my life.
Nice. I love that. And I think getting into fitness is probably worked out a lot more than just your body, right? Like it is the mind and that's totally. So back up a little bit more. So you're a tall dude. I have scoliosis as well.
Okay.
I'm not sure if you've seen like how I have that. I have a big like hump in my back, so I know what you're dealing with, and mine's not nearly as bad as what yours sounds like it was. Back up even further. You grew up here in Orange County?
No, I grew up in a really small town called Phelan. It's got about maybe 5,000 people in it. It's two main roads, 2 stoplights, Circle K and a Chevron and a Stater Brothers.
And that's here in California?
Yeah, it is. It's about an hour and a half north.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a pretty rough town. I had a pretty rough upbringing there. A lot of like skinhead culture there and a lot of, methamphetamine use and alcoholism. There's just nothing to do. So people tend to go down a really bad path.
Wow. Yeah. And to only be an hour and a half away from like real civilization, that's pretty wild. So, and there's towns like that in Michigan too, where it's like, they're off the beaten path. Everybody knows everybody. A lot of people are miserable. A lot of people are stuck in their old ways or the same ways. And that mediocrity and in many cases toxicity just becomes family jewels.
Yeah.
And that sounds like that was the case. So brothers, sisters?
One sister, she's 11 years older, so it's kind of almost an only child. She was off to college by the time I was in like middle school.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's and parents, mom, dad together, divorced. Yeah. How did that work out?
Mom, dad together. Interesting dynamic there. My dad's an ex-cop. Yeah, I kind of took the opposite route as him, which is pretty random. But my mom's a court reporter. They actually met in court. My dad was in there on a case, and they clicked up, and they've been together for like 32 years now.
Nice. Yeah. Okay, that's wild. So what was high school like for you?
I dropped out of school in 7th grade.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
And a cop, dad, court worker, mom, just were like whatever?
So it's kind of interesting there. My mom homeschooled me.
Okay.
She's pretty hippie. So she called it no schooling, which, looking back probably wasn't the best thing for my future, especially considering where I grew up and how much they worked. Like I was kind of just at home by myself a lot.
Oh, shit.
So going down the streets, smoking, drinking, doing things I shouldn't have been doing at that age, and hanging out at skate parks all day by myself.
So when did you start getting into substances?
God, dude, I smoked weed my first time at 9. 9? Yeah. I got into opioids when I was 14.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I had a full-fledged narco addiction.
How old are you now?
29.
29. Okay, so you would have gotten into opioids. So I would have been 20. So when you got into them at 14, let's see here. So 25. So I would have been 22 when I really got into them. So I'm about 10 years older than you.
Yeah.
So that makes sense. Wow.
Yeah, bro.
And back then you could get them anywhere.
My dad actually had really bad sciatica. So he had these huge bottles of Norcos.
Like the Pogs dispensers?
Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
Fucking huge,
oh,
dude.
yeah.
Yeah. And he wouldn't take them. He wouldn't even take like acetaminophen, dude. I've never seen my dad cry, but that back pain was like the only time I saw him cry. And, going through my thing years later, I completely understand it. So
you're popping dad's pills?
Yeah, 100%.
Nice.
Yeah, I used to put them in a little icebreaker thing so nobody would suspect they were in there. And I'd kind of just stay in my room and pop those.
Damn.
Yeah.
When did it start to become an issue?
Pretty quick because I was using them really heavy. So, I was popping, 10 pills at a time. Mm-hmm. Probably enough acetaminophen to fuck my liver up.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, really quick because I ran out once and that was when I knew it was an issue. And ended up getting some Roxys from somebody else.
And then I got into the OCs.
Yeah. Yeah.
And how'd that go?
It went okay until I got sent off to Utah. So I got sent off to Utah around 15 years old to a treatment facility. Actually, it wasn't really much of a treatment facility. It was like a facility for crazy kids, and that was a really traumatic experience for me as a child. You couldn't talk to your parents about when you were going to come home on the phone. You couldn't ask, hey, when do I get to go home? Or, hey, what's going on, because they would just click the phone right there.
Wow.
Yeah, and when I came back, I was clean, which was good. I started getting into other shit, and then I found cocaine. And then that became a huge issue for me all the way up until I got arrested at 23. And then 23 is when I turned my life around.
So take me back to getting out of treatment. And so that what this treatment sounds like was like more borderline like boot camp or like asylum retreat or whatever you would call it.
I would call it more of an asylum than an asylum retreat. Yeah, no,
okay.
It was pretty gnarly. You couldn't stand or walk without saying, "Hey, standing," and then they would say, "Okay, you can stand." Then you'd have to say,
"What?
Hey, I'm going to walk to that door." Then they'd say, "Walk to that door." Then you'd have to say, "Okay, I'm going to make a left and go here." And they would say, "Okay." It was every movement was completely controlled.
So they just wanted you completely detached from society.
Yeah.
And to basically learn how to take direction and focus on yourself.
Exactly, and it wasn't a treatment facility. I wish it would have been, but it wasn't. So it was more like a behavioral health type thing.
I see.
I needed treatment, I told my parents, like, hey, dude, look, I've been hooked on these Norcos for a long time. Like, it's a really big issue. And they legit didn't believe me. They were in denial themselves. I think it was too hard for them to look at their 14-year-old son and say, hey, you've got drug addiction.
Hard for a parent to accept.
100%. I have a son, and I see how hard that could be.
Mm-hmm. You have a son?
I do.
How old?
He's 9.
He's 9?
Yeah, I haven't seen him since he was 2.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a whole nother story. So I had 50% legal and physical custody of him, and his mom ended up kind of just taking off and moving to Texas. She played the whole legal game against me. So in California, if you don't see your kid for 6 months, you lose rights as a parent.
Sure.
So I would show up like, hey, it's my visit day, Oh, he's sick. Okay, no problem. I'll come back next week. Hey, it's my day, I'm out here. What's going on? He doesn't want to see you right now, call me back. It just kept going on like that for 6 months. And last time I saw him was his second birthday. And then she pulled that stuff again, 6 months straight. Didn't see him. As soon as it hit 6 months, she moved off to Texas.
So you were 20 when you had him.
Correct.
It's really young.
Yeah. No, I was really young, but at that point I was on a really good path, and then losing him just kind of sent me down a really bad path.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I can see that. So you get out of treatment, and you're what, 16 years old?
Yeah, 16.
16 years old, and so you're kind of reintroduced to, like, you go back home to the small town where everybody's methed out, doing drugs, drinking. So you go back to that same exact environment, and you find yourself on the other side of it going after uppers. Yeah,
going after uppers pretty quick. I never.
Where was that introduced to you?
Friends. Yeah, friends that shouldn't have been friends, you know?
Yeah. Well, yeah, looking back at it, but in the moment, and if you didn't have, like, if you weren't given the right coping mechanisms in that treatment facility, also, I would imagine that treatment facility wasn't like a 12-step program or anything like that. No, so you didn't really have any programming. You just had, basically, you went from an environment that was super toxic to an environment that wasn't taking you in any direction.
Yeah.
And then back into, so that would be a recipe for not working out. I'm shocked to see if anybody came out of that in a good situation, right?
Yeah.
So the environment is what was taking you down. And how many years, 5 years go by or 4 years go by until you have a child with what I assume was a girlfriend, on again, off again.
Actually, fiance. Yeah, we got engaged when we both turned 18.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. We'd been together for 5 years when we split, I want to say. Maybe 6.
Yeah, but you're kids.
Exactly. No, exactly. We're totally children, bro.
Was and this, you don't have to answer this, but do you think that you guys got pregnant to save a relationship? Do you think it was a healthy thing? Was it an accident?
I mean, it was a good accident.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, children are a beautiful thing.
It wasn't meant to happen. She was on birth control, and it happened. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and I get it. I can relate a little bit. But it's funny how, like, we and I imagine, like, some of that was probably going through your head too, where it's like, I have this kid coming, I'm gonna, get on the straight and narrow, the clean path. And what does that look like?
So I was actually working a job as a security guard for a company called Live Nation. So I was working backstage at, like Knotfest, huge festivals like EDC, Coachella, Stagecoach, Hard Summer, all those kind of big shows. So I was doing either the barricade or backstage with artists, and I actually was only smoking weed then, which was, a better period of my life for sure. And I would work, 18-hour shifts just to get that double time to try to, make some money and do something for us. But, at the end of the day, it just wasn't enough money to really live off of. So then I got into, like, selling weed a little bit more and stuff like that, and that turned into me growing weed.
I see.
Things kind of snowballed, but I was, like, a legal grower, so I had, like, my caregiver's license, I had actual patients and stuff like that, so it was, like, nothing illicit. And that ended up helping out a lot. But, yeah, I was just working a lot, doing security for the most part.
And were you a big dude back then, or?
I was skinny, but I could fight.
Okay.
Yeah, so I got in some really good fights at that job. That was the reason I loved it, dude. Like, I grew up in an environment where, fighting was like a mandatory thing. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, dude. Where I grew up, you had to fight a lot.
Wicked.
I hate fighting now, but, like, back when I was younger and, like, more angry and shit, it was something I unfortunately enjoyed.
Were you an angry kid?
Definitely.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, I can imagine, especially, like, if you feel like, being that you left school at 7 and then your parents were both working a lot. So you're, like, in a way, probably feeling a little neglected. You may not have noticed that, right? Because as a kid, like, we're like, yeah, we got our house to ourselves. We can get away with whatever. But eventually neglect's got to set in. And eventually, you're going to start to act out. Mm-hmm. And I could totally see that happening. Yeah, that's... So you have your son, you're doing the weed only thing, the California sober thing.
Yep. Yeah.
And California sober is an interesting topic because I don't disagree with California sober. I don't agree with California sober. I don't know if I would even put weed and sober in the same sentence, but at the same time, I'm a big fan of to thine own self be true. Mm-hmm. And what is sober? Because very few people that only smoke weed tear their life to the ground.
Yeah.
Right? It's very rare. Some people are just like lazy and they never amount to anything, and some people can control it differently. For me, you know, I never got in trouble from weed. I never had any issues with it. It was never a problem of mine. But anything else, I'm going to take to like the next level.
Yeah, I can relate.
Yeah, for sure. So with California Sober, is that something you still, I mean, you don't need to discuss it.
No, I mean, yeah, to an extent, like sometimes, very rarely, I'll come home and I'll like be exhausted and I'll take like, you know, like the raw sleep supplement or whatever that I do take to help me sleep, and it kind of won't do the job sometimes because all the pre-workout and training clients all day and doing all these Zoom calls and stuff to where I'm like, yeah, you know, I'll hit the bong once and see if it helps me fall asleep, and usually it does. But
for sure, it's
never like, oh, I'm sitting at home during the day smoking weed type thing. I use it as a medication now, and a medication only, and it's like as needed.
Sure.
Yeah.
And so going back, so what was like your motivation at that point in your life?
When I was younger, or like now?
No, like when you were younger, like after the child, and
honestly, to just get out of where I was and hopefully get to a point where I can, you know, regain custody of my kid.
What was the point where it was like, I need to get out of this town?
Oh, dude, when I caught my felony. When I caught my felony at 23, because I was going down a path where either I was going to die or someone else was going to die. Like it was extremely bad. If you Google my name, like everything comes up.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Tell me about the felony.
So it was armed robbery.
Oh, wow.
For $30,000.
Okay, well, hold on a second. We gotta back up. Okay, so where did this? Because this was conspired.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so tell me about what take me back to like the moments leading up or the days leading up to this.
I can go over everything because, you know, I already did time for it and stuff. So
okay.
So I was actually living in my car at this point. Everything kind of came crashing down with the weed business and stuff, and I was really, really broke. So I was living in my 2015 Kia Forte in Lake Elsinore with my crimey, and we had set up some other things to get some Bitcoin for another deal and whatnot. And we end up calling this liquor store. We're like, hey, you know, we got this yada yada amount of Bitcoin. We need to exchange this and turn it into cash. And the guy's like, hey, bro, that's way too much. I can't handle that. It's like, okay, no problem. Like, I get it. You know, you're a store. And he calls us back later that night. He's like, hey, dude, I can do it, like, but I can't do it in the store. We're like, okay, no problem. So long story short, the Bitcoin never came through, but he came through. So we ended up setting up a meeting point, and we followed him there and then followed him back home. And I didn't have the gun or anything. Some other guy had the gun. Followed him back home. All of us get out of the car, masked up, hoodies over the head, everything. Guy draws down on him. Hey, give me the money, give me the money. We take off, go back up to my parents' house the next day because we needed to like get the fuck out of where we were. I mean, the first thing we did too is go get Jack in the Box tacos, dude. We had 30 grand in cash, and I hadn't eaten in probably 4 or 5 days because we were so broke. I was showering in like a 7-Eleven bathroom and stuff in the morning. So fucking, now we go back up to my parents' house the next day, and I'm like drinking lean at this point and everything. So we go down to the liquor store.
Which, for those who don't know, lean is promethazine and codeine mixed with Sprite.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yep. Oh no, I went down that path in college.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's not a good one, dude. Opioids seem to have been my thing. Unfortunately, just those withdrawals are horrible, and what it does to your body is just havoc in your mind. Mm-hmm. But yeah, no. So we go down to the gas station. I'm like, okay, hey, you know, I need to fill up my double cup, get some Sprite.
Same gas station as the guy that you just robbed?
No. Fuck no. This is we're back in my hometown now. We're back in my hometown. So we go down to the gas station. Got a bunch of stuff in the car we shouldn't have. I go in. I'm talking to my buddy at the gas station. Like, hey, check this out. Pulling out hella $100 bills. Like, yeah, just give me a pack of backwoods, dude. Yeah, we hit last night. And walk out of the gas station. Go to my Crime's driving. Go to back out. Hyundai Elantra pulls in from the right. Another like random rental car pulls in from the left. Another one comes in behind us, and we're like, oh fuck, this must be like that guy's people. And a bunch of dudes jump out. We're like, fuck. The guy that comes up to my side pulls his badge out. I'm like, okay, that's a little better. But now he's got his handgun in his hand. He's fucking shaking like this. So I'm like, this guy's gonna fucking shoot me on accident, bro. So I'm putting my hands through the roof. Like, I don't know how we didn't lift the roof off that damn Kia Forte, bro. We're all like, fuck, because just shaking, dude. Thinking like we're armed and dangerous and we're going to do something.
Yeah.
We actually didn't have a gun on us because the dude that had the gun that we had found had gone back home the night before. So they arrest us, go back to my parents' house. They, kind of boot the door in and search my parents' whole house and stuff, take pictures of everything I had, and drive us down to the Orange County jail because the robbery we did was actually in Yorba Linda. And this is way before I was a resident of Orange County. So we got processed into jail. We went in on a Friday, I believe, and got arraigned on a Monday. My bail was $100,000. I think they raised it to $1 million. And then they hit us with a conspiracy and armed robbery and a couple other charges. And then I ended up getting in front of another judge and ended up going a little bit better and ended up getting a private attorney. So I was looking at, originally it was 8 years in prison. Then that got dropped to a year, believe it or not, because God knows what, dude, just California, I guess. I don't think I deserved just a year. I think I deserved more than that. The really good private attorney I ended up hiring because I was out on bail at that point. He ended up having a son that was dating this judge's daughter. So we get transferred to another courtroom and it ends up being that judge. So get really lucky. I'm like, okay, cool. We're looking at a year. Well, it gets kicked back to another courtroom. Judge is like, fuck this deal. Fuck the public defender, or fuck the DA, we're not honoring this deal. I'm like, shit, okay, 3 years. That's a while, okay. And then by the grace of God, that judge ends up retiring. So it goes back to the old judge. I'm like, okay, cool. So it hits me with 8 months. I'm like, 8 months? Are you serious? Like, I don't know how I got 8 months. So then I ended up pleading out to that, and COVID happened. So I'm like, trying to turn myself in. They're like, hey, we're not taking people right now. I'm like, are you serious? Like, I'm just trying to get this over with. So I ended up doing 2 years on my 5 years of probation before they even take me to jail. So by that point, I'd had my back surgery. I had a probation officer that ended up passing away, rest in peace to her. And she ended up putting in a good word for me before she passed away. And I got another probation officer. Dude was a total fucking asshole. Like, huge piece of shit. Pulled his gun on me while I'm in my underwear for not sitting down fast enough and stuff when he came to my apartment. But he ended up putting in a good work for me too with the house arrest thing. So I send in a letter for house arrest because I had the back surgery. I'm like, dude, I can't survive in jail right now. If I gotta get in a fight or something, like, I'm screwed. I weigh 130 pounds at 6'1". Atrophied, could hardly walk. Like, I was walking again at that point, but like hardly. I was walking with a back brace and a walker.
Oh my.
And so I send in that letter for house arrest and it gets rejected. I'm like, fuck, okay, I have one more shot at this. So I send in another one, actually gets approved. So I ended up only doing 4 months of house arrest.
Oh, wow.
For that whole thing, yeah. But I'd already turned my life around at that point. I was 100% sober. I'd been sober for 4 years already. And now I'm 7 years sober. And, I was working an actual job. I was working for my dad at that point, doing appraisals on semi-trucks. And I think all that experience that I experienced, like that case and stuff, and the way that detective that arrested me treated me, just led to me turning my life around. Like the detective that arrested me treated me like with nothing but respect, and he treated me like a man. He was like, hey, dude, look, you need to turn your life around. You need to start going to church, all that stuff. And I ended up really digesting that. And I was like, okay, look, this is the turning point. If something like this happens again, like, imagine how it could go south. Because these kind of things weren't things that like went through my head before. I wasn't like, oh, well, what if somebody resists and they end up getting shot or something like this, So I ended up, thinking about all that, and I ended up having a lot of remorse and a lot of guilt for what happened. It fucked with me for a long time, like the things I'd done back then. And yeah, turn around my life, definitely saved my life. And that whole experience saved my life. Yeah.
The system can be good.
If you use it, it's good.
For
if
sure.
you look at it from like an angry standpoint, I feel like a lot of people end up just going back.
Well, yeah, victims are going to tend to have like cyclical victim shit happen to them over and over and over again. But here's the thing: a lot of people fall into the system. If you have a supportive family, parents are still together, like you were able to get a private attorney. You didn't have to go with, a court appointed.
Yeah.
And that was probably one of the biggest saving graces. Obviously, this attorney was tied in. The story actually reminds me of one of my legal issues that I had at one point, to where I was able to have a case sent to a different jurisdiction where that judge was my attorney's brother.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so like that, and it's great, but I still like, that judge wanted to reform me. He didn't want to throw me in a terrible situation.
Yeah.
But ultimately, it was a lot of work, right? And there was a lot that needed to be done. But what's cool is that a lot of people like that are in a life of crime or active addiction and things like that. Like they can't see past what their fix is.
Yeah.
And so they'll do whatever it takes to get that fix, regardless of consequences. But if you have a legal system that's supposed to be a rehabilitating legal system, the problem is that there's far more people that won't fix themselves than there 100%. Are that will. So they have to play the numbers. There's also an understanding that money does fix a lot of things, especially if you have the resources to get real legal help.
Yeah.
And real and so anyways, that's interesting how that played out for you. Like I said, I had a similar situation to where when I showed that I was doing the work, I was admitted into a treatment center, all of the above, where like every judge, because there were multiple judges in multiple jurisdictions in charge of my situation. My situation was a be on the lookout helicopter chase.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So that's one of my claim to fame. I got a few other ones, but that one was like one where like I was like labeled a danger to society and stuff like that. And it's funny because I didn't even know I was being chased. But either way.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Nitrous oxide's a hell of a drug.
Oh fuck.
Yeah.
Hippie crack.
Yeah, hippie crack. Yeah, I didn't know where I was. But anyways. But yeah, it's interesting how that can play out in your favor. But ultimately, if it does play out in your favor and you actually are honest and actually are doing the work, your life can be changed for the better. You don't have to resort back to a life of crime, addiction, and stuff like that. So you were one of the few that gets reformed, it sounds like.
No, absolutely. And a lot of the guys I work with now too are like that. Like I don't want to put anyone's business out there. But I just took on another client that's a very similar story with a Fed case, and I'm really proud to see how he's doing it. It's fucking awesome, and it's so rare to see people take their lives like that and turn it around, take that negative experience and turn it into a positive, or just take it as a fucking lesson, dude. Like that's all we can do at the end of the day is take shit like that as a lesson. I'm sure you know that.
100%.
Yeah.
The funny thing is that a lot of people, that they live their life and they have like shitty habits and things like that, but it never gets bad enough, right? Where like guys like you and me, we have it gets bad. Like it gets really, really bad. And it's like life or death. Now you have guns drawn on you, right? I'm passing out with blood clots in my lungs, getting discharged from jail. You know what I mean? And waking up in a hotel bed, like what the fuck just happened to me, right? I think a lot of times people like they're in active addiction or they're just living just a life of crime and just being pathetic. But it's never enough, never serious enough. It's almost like get it over with. Like fuck up bad enough so you can see how bad it really gets.
Yeah.
Because I mean I know so many guys that like they just live like shitty people, but they get by.
Yeah.
And then their life is just getting by, but they're miserable and so on and so forth. So you're able to hit rock bottom and you realize you either stay there or you bounce back.
Yeah, absolutely.
So now are you now living in Orange County? Is that at that point or?
Yeah. No, we live in Irvine. Proud to say we have like probably the nicest unit in our complex.
Okay.
Yeah. So we have a really nice, really nice apartment. I've turned my life around completely. I drive AMG now. I'm looking at getting a C8 Corvette here by the end of summer.
There we go.
Probably going to move back to Newport Beach when this lease is up.
Okay.
I was actually in Newport like the whole time I was on probation and stuff, but we moved to Irvine just to kind of get out of that complex we're in. It's a little quieter, things like that. But now we're like, dude, it's all old people over here. We need more fun. So,
yeah,
and then
Irvine's
it's closer
really
to the
boring.
gym. Yeah.
It is really boring, but it's a nice, very nice area.
No, exactly.
So, and then you meet your wife.
Yeah. No, it's kind of a random story how we met.
Tell me.
Dude, so we met on Tinder.
Yes.
We met on Tinder, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think I super liked her. I did.
That's a thing?
Yeah, no, dude, I paid for like the full Tinder premium. Come on, bro.
Well, yeah, no, listen, I met my first. Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, you're thumbing and swiping like crazy.
She got an early investment, okay?
All right. So I met my first wife on Tinder.
Okay.
And obviously you saw how that went, or you didn't see, but you know, it's not my wife any longer. But yeah, no, I'm all for internet dating. That's for sure. I think it's good. So you guys meet on Tinder and you're in the middle of back surgery or recovery or?
Recovering. So yeah, I kind of already recovered. I was just started like going to the gym. I think we met April 1st. We met on April Fool's Day. That's our anniversary.
Nice.
I mean, we're married now, so our anniversary is different, but our OG anniversary was April Fool's Day. Yeah. Wicked. So yeah, we met then. I just started working out December 17th of the year prior. And you know, we've been together for 2 years now, going on 3. We got married pretty quick. Our second date was about 12 hours after the first date. So we went to dinner at the country club on 17th Street in like Costa Mesa.
Yeah.
And had a great time. And then I go home. Next morning, she hits me up. Hey, I'm going to go to the music thing on the beach tomorrow. You want to come? I was like, oh, damn. Okay, this chick's serious. Fuck it. Let's go. You know, and then we're just like inseparable ever since. We're like best friends.
Nice. Music thing on the beach at like Huntington Beach House or?
Corona Del Mar.
Oh, in Corona Del Mar.
Yeah. One of her friends just kind of set up a DJ deck out there and stuff.
That's great.
It was cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really cool. So, okay. So now you're getting heavily into fitness. That's a huge part of your recovery. Tell me what got you into bodybuilding.
I think that guy that I had worked out with that kind of helped me through the back surgery thing that was on his prep, just watching his body change and stuff throughout that prep and, you know, working out with him and seeing the knowledge. And, honestly, a YouTuber kind of got me into it too. There's a YouTuber out there called More Plates, More Dates. I know it sounds like a pickup game channel. It's not. It's like
no, he's great.
Yeah, okay, you know Derek.
Of course, yeah.
He's all about like the science of it and stuff. And I've been a science nerd my entire life. So despite like the street stuff and everything, like I'm a huge fucking nerd at heart. Like I love science. Like there's the only classes I did well up in until like, you know, I dropped out in 7th grade or whatever. But yeah, no, I've always loved science. So I kind of fell into like the whole thing of like, how can I heal my back and my, muscles in my spine, near my spine and everything from this back surgery. And then that drove me to like peptide therapies and TRT and all that kind of stuff, you know, which coexists with the bodybuilding thing so well. So it just kind of occurred all this knowledge and everything over this amount of time. And I was like, you know, why don't I put this to use? And I hired a coach to do a prep and stuff. Once I put on some muscle, I bulked up to 265 pounds from 130 pounds in the span of a year. So I cut back down. And by the time I was at like 6% body fat, I think I was about 217 pounds. Okay. And I just fell in love with the sport, dude.
And you're 6'1".
Yeah, 6'1", exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wicked. That's a lot of weight. I think a lot of people would look at weight gain like that and be like, you know, that's not realistic. But when you're over 6 foot, you guys got to understand that like 20 pounds is a good shit sometimes. Like we're, you know, for not really, but for me, like I can go up 20 pounds, down 30 pounds, like, and you would barely notice a difference, maybe a little more vascularity. But yeah, it's not that big of a difference when you're over 6 foot.
Yeah.
But putting on that level of weight is serious. So tell me, so basically, you were using peptide therapy and things like that to work on your back. What products, what compounds, what did you find to be most effective?
So it started with tesamorelin, ipamorelin, and CJC 1295, which are all
with no DAC or
with DAC.
With DAC.
Yeah, so drug-infested complex. Yeah, correct.
And did that knock you out at night?
Yeah, I mean, I ate a lot and then it knocked me out.
Bro, yeah. I use CJC with DAC and with no DAC or whatever, however you say it. I'm not a nerd with that kind of stuff. And both times I would take it and it would hit me so fast and I could barely get back to bed, like get back to my bed. I would literally have to like inject it while laying in bed because it would hit me that fast where I would feel like completely like weak at the legs. Done.
Yeah, no, it puts you out, bro. It puts you out.
Done.
Yeah.
So the first time I took it, someone told me to take it upon waking.
Oh, fuck that.
My buddy, he still does. He takes it every day.
He's a savage.
When he wakes up.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, I wouldn't even be able to get out of bed.
I can do growth hormone in the morning, but like not that.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah. Growth hormone fast. I've been told not to take it before bed. It's kind of pointless. Your body.
A lot of people take it before bed, but you do get a little bit more like fat burning. Some people say when you take it in the morning, because your growth hormone levels are the lowest then.
I take MK677 before bed.
Okay. Yeah.
So I feel like
that'll help you sleep too.
Yeah, well, that'll help you sleep, and then I just take it like I have it on my nightstand.
Yeah.
Right before I go to sleep, so I don't get hungry. But I've been woken up with it, and went downstairs and cleaned out my fucking pantry.
Just wake up. What the fuck am I doing in the fridge?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that was like when I was in treatment. They give you Seroquel.
Oh yeah, I was on that for years. Bro.
Oh yeah.
The munchies on that are horrible.
Oh, dude, I would wake up and there'd be like wrappers all in the bed next to me. Like, how the fuck did all this get here?
Yeah.
Yeah. Seroquel was they always give you Seroquel, and then they give you what's the other one? Gabapentin.
Yep.
Which I thought was it was so funny because I'm in treatment and like they give you these like take 4 throughout the day. So this little pocket in my jeans was like what I used to put all my Norcos in throughout the day, and I would pop them like fucking Pez. Because I was a big Norco 10 dude. That was my drug of choice. And so I'd always fill that little pocket. So now I'm sitting in rehab and I got a little mini pocket full of pills. I'm like, this is fucking stupid. I'm no different than I used to be.
Yeah, fuck no.
So I got off the gabapentin. I took the Seroquel and then I had to get off that because I was gaining weight from it.
Yeah.
And now, now I don't take anything. But always growing up was always like Adderall, Vyvanse, Klonopin, all
benzos.
of it. Benzos were terrible for me. I would sleep for days and days. So I know I totally understand. It's funny though because like Oxycontin, and I've told the story on other podcasts, but a lot of people get thrown back by this. Oxycontin is what saved my life. Oxycontin is what got me off of opioids.
Oh, okay. Yeah, for me it was fentanyl.
Was it?
Yeah.
Because you were scared of it?
No, I mean, dude, I got hooked on fentanyl like towards the end of, before I got into a treatment.
Okay.
So I went into treatment at 23. It wasn't like it was outpatient treatment, but yeah, fentanyl did it for me.
Hoger.
No, up in the high desert, like right before I moved down here. I think about a year before I moved down here. It was right before I pled out on my case. I was actually still fighting it. So like I had gotten clean after I caught my case, and then I kind of relapsed and went and did some dumb shit. And it was because of the back pain. It wasn't like I was trying to get high or anything. I was going to the doctors and trying to get like pain medication because it was in legit pain. Nobody would do an x-ray or anything. And I ended up kind of getting into the perks and got some fake perks once. And I was like, oh shit, these kind of don't smell the same. And I ended up finding out it was fentanyl. So that was, great.
Yeah.
It was fun. Oh, dude, great. No, so honestly, it was fucking horrible. And I ended up hitting up the kid one day. Like, no bullshit, bro. This kid was like 14 selling fucking fentanyl. The kid was on like the freshman soccer team at his high school.
Selling fentanyl.
I swear to God, I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? So I spent about $200 to $500 a day on fentanyl, bro. I don't know how the fuck I supported that habit. It was
just taking them, or were you sniffing them?
snorting them.
Yeah.
I never smoked them or anything. Always snorted them. And I hit him up one day, and dude, he's out. I was like, oh fuck. So I'm over here like trying to pop Zans and stuff to like kind of feel okay. It's crawling out of my skin. Like I'd had like opioid withdrawals from like the Norcos and all that. This was a different fucking level. Like I couldn't sleep. My skin I felt like my muscles were just outside of my skin. It was just like the air hurt. Fucking shitting my brains out and everything. It was horrible. So I ended up finding a treatment facility that's like an outpatient methadone clinic up in the high desert, about 30 minutes away from where I lived at the time. So still in Phelan. And that place was in Hesperia. And I called him like, hey, I need to get in like as soon as you guys can. So next morning, 10 a.m., go in, do a little intake thing and stuff. And the good thing about them was you had to do a weekly counseling appointment.
Okay.
So I was able to work through a lot of the shit I had doing counseling and that. And then I had drug tests for each month to like show my judge or my probation officer or whatever at the time that, hey, I am clean and I'm working this program and stuff. And that definitely ended up saving my life. But yeah, dude, no, fentanyl is what made me get sober for sure.
Yeah.
So like obviously the criminal case and then the fentanyl, like those two things combined, I was like, just dude, I can never go back to that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you saw how bad it can get.
Oh, dude, 100%. I think that was like my second rock bottom. I want to say it was like a soft bottom. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
I saw it going back in that other direction though.
What do you think is one of the biggest things that if you hadn't changed, it would have completely thrown the result of your life off? Like what's the biggest move that you think you made?
God, getting sober and getting in the gym. Yeah. My mentality was all fucked up before.
Tell me about your mentality.
I was a victim. I was a victim. I had a victim mentality. Everyone's out to get me. The world's out to get me. I'm never going to be anything. Look at where I come from. Like, I'll never drive a nice car, all that kind of stuff, because I've just never been around it. I'd never been around anyone that had like a newer car or a nice car, lived in a nice house, or had like a normal family or anything like that. So I just, kind of believed like, hey, this is where I'm from. This is what I've been around my whole life. I don't know how to do anything else. It took me changing that mentality, which, a lot of it came from one, getting sober, and two, getting in the gym and building that community and getting around people that are involved in that self-improvement space and learning from them and, meeting other entrepreneurs and stuff and just seeing what is possible. Like, dude, I hung out with a billionaire last summer.
Yeah.
Like, I've never even met someone that's like a millionaire in my life. And then all of a sudden I'm hanging out with a billionaire working out with them.
Yeah.
It's like, this is crazy.
Crazy.
So anything's possible.
When a billionaire speaks, you listen.
Oh, fuck yeah.
You definitely do. It's a different level. A lot of millionaires out there, very few billionaires. And when you get a chance to talk to one, you listen to them.
Yeah.
Wow, that's really cool. So let me ask you this then. Obviously, so it is like changing your entire surroundings is huge, and that's the kind of the theme of this is, you could have easily been a victim, a product of your environment, an addict for the rest of your life, and all of it. But so the first time you got taken out of your environment was put into another wrong environment to be in, right? Then you get put back into that shitty environment, right? So what would you tell somebody from your hometown that's right where you were?
Find a way out, or stay away from those negative influences. It's not easy to find a positive influence there.
What would you tell someone that wants to leave?
Honestly, bro, I don't even know, because if you were to try to find a job there, like, most people don't have transportation. Most people do not have like a car, and if they do, it's shared with the whole family. They can't drive the 40, 50 miles to work that is for most people, because like, dude, we have 2 gas stations and a Stater Brothers in our town, and like, that's it. And anything else is at least a 30 to 45 minute drive away. So maybe some kind of internet stuff, I would say maybe get into e-commerce or online coaching or something like that. Find a way to make an impact online and help other people.
Sure. See, I think people just need to leave. You're gonna figure it out. People are more resilient than they think they are, right? But crashing on a couch is comfortable to some people, right? But like, if you live in a tiny town where everybody's miserable and it's like, dude, I need to get out of this thing, just fucking go.
Yeah, I mean,
what's really keeping people in that spot?
Finances.
So they're gonna be shitty there. They're gonna be shitty somewhere else.
I mean, they'd be on the street somewhere else.
Either way, you got to figure it out.
No, 100%. I agree. I think it's just, it's a very, very poor town. Most people do not have like means at all. Most people are on, different types of government aid. It's like,
really?
It's pretty much a standard. I think the medium income up there is like probably like 15 grand a year. Yeah, like, it's bad.
15 grand a year.
Yeah.
In California?
Yeah. Dude, there's nothing. Like, dude, if you looked at this place on a map, you'd be like, oh, fuck, that's actually a place. It just looks like the desert.
Really?
Yeah, no, I mean, there's literally nothing. There's 2 paved roads. Actually, 3. Maybe 4 now. There's Duncan, there's Sheep Creek, there's Johnson, and Oasis. Those are the only paved roads in that whole Tri-City area.
Wicked.
Yeah. Actually, no, there's like 2 other ones, but they're pretty short and they're highways. There's just nothing, bro. And all the houses are spaced out. It's just, there's no job opportunity. Like, I used to commute from there to fucking LA, bro. I used to drive all the way from there to LA or there to San Bernardino. At one point, I was doing concrete, building like tilt-ups, doing construction. And I would drive from there to Moreno Valley, there to LA. I was in the car for 2 hours a day. My little 2002 Dodge Neon, just trying to make, $15 an hour. By the time I make it home and trying to eat and stuff, like, I made nothing. I was making $60 a day.
Oof.
And I was working my ass off, you know?
That ain't it.
No, fuck no, dude. To see that I went from that to having like a $10,000 day last week, this is just fucking insane. Yeah, I never thought I'd be here. Never in my life could I ever imagine I'd be here.
So, so tell me about that. So so obviously you were hustling weed and things like that. So you know how to sell.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I've seen you training your clients, and like you really give a fuck, and you have fantastic social proof. You've done a very good job with a couple of the guys that I've seen. I mean, their physiques look amazing. Their transformations are fucking stunning.
Thank you.
When did you start taking business serious like that? And what was the biggest inspiration?
So I started online coaching just randomly. So a couple people, when I was working out at Lifetime, and kind of hit me up like, hey dude, can you coach me? I was like, yeah, absolutely. So the online coaching came randomly, but the inspiration from that just came from my own experience in fitness and like what it did for me. It's been super cool though. I've only been doing the online coaching since, when was that, babe? August of last year? Yeah, about August of last year, I started doing the online coaching and very quickly went into the in-person.
Yeah, it's interesting. A lot of people try to go from in-person to online.
Yeah.
But obviously if you have a good gym and you're able to kind of hybrid it, that's a good idea. I think a lot of people look at online coaching and like what we do, right? And they'll say things like it's saturated, or I don't know where to start, and things like that. And I always tell people, like, just start, one, and two, everything's saturated. Like any industry you get into, you want to get into a pizza place, you're in a saturated industry. You want to be a hair salon, you're in everything's saturated if you look at it that way. But the facts is that most people are obese, right?
Yeah.
Most people are unhappy with themselves and their life in general, and only 2% of people get help. So yes, the industry is saturated with clientele.
I always say that the amount of people that need help will never outweigh, or will always outweigh the people that are helping. There will never be more people helping than people that need help, like, ever.
The other thing to consider is that in business, 90% of businesses fail in less than a year.
Yeah.
So as saturated as somebody thinks that an industry is, you got to realize that 9 out of 10 people that start it are gone. So it is simply a game of resilience. And which is why it's so funny when you look at JWX and you look at all of our coaches, the vast majority of them have been through some struggles, addicts, right?
Yeah.
A lot of them have criminal backgrounds. A lot of them have their own issues that they've been through, traumas and stuff like that, to where now you look at like resilience and like you see some of these fucking guys and they're like, they're kicking. They're like 3 years in now. And the vast majority of the coaches that we've worked with are still coaching.
Yeah.
The vast majority of them.
Oh, that's awesome, man. That's
awesome. So I think it's cool that you got into it. And I think it's telling how your resilience in life and the things that you went through from being from a fucking 2-street town, right?
Yeah.
Robbing and drugging and doing all of that and running the streets, running and gunning, right?
Pretty much, bro.
That level of resilience and what you've been through in your life has allowed you to start your own business, become successful, and you're clearly doing very well. And I'm stoked to be able to work with you and stuff like that. But it's a testament to that one thing right there, which is resilience.
Yeah, 100%. Thank you.
Every industry is a game of who can last the longest.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm a goddamn cockroach.
Fuck yeah, bro.
Fucking cockroach. I'm going to go out with a nuclear blast and I'll still be kicking.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? But like, that's because I know what that feels like. I know what feeling like emptiness, nothingness, ready to end my life, like ready to be over with, and then snapping back and going from massive drug addict, alcoholic, over 100 pounds overweight, getting, building a great physique, at least a somewhat decent physique, I'm my hardest critic, but either way, you know what I'm saying? To where like now it's like, I didn't go through all of that shit to fucking give up when the going gets tough. And anyone who does, you're like, the fuck? Did it not get bad enough?
Yeah.
This was fun.
Yeah.
This is great. Guys, if you like what you heard, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you click the like button. Smash that shit. Comment below. We're going to put all of Tristan's stuff in, all of his contact information right below. Go shoot him a follow. Show him some love. Thank you guys for tuning in to the Justin Wenzel Podcast. We are fucking out.